From Trade with Precision, and welcome to this week's episode of Inside the Charts, brought to you by Vantage Markets. So first of all, I'm going to start off by having a look at the dollar index. So first of all, if we zoom out and look at it from a high enough time frame, we have been range bound for a while. The market is very much trying to work its way out of that range. Now, seasonally and historically, we would expect it to be weakening now, but it doesn't really matter because the charts, I beg your pardon, are showing themselves to be breaking out to the upside. So what I'm going to be looking for this week on the weekly time frame is really a break below the low or the high of this current weekly candle. In the past, I've seen price, especially if we go down to say the daily time frame, I've actually seen price produce a similar type of pattern such as it did over here and actually then fail to break out. So the question, we're not out of the range yet. It is trying to do it, and from a higher time frame, it looks indeed as though it's potentially going to succeed doing that. So we're going to have to see how that plays. That's why I say I'm looking for a break above the high or the low of this last week candle. Moving on to the euro dollar, you can see as well, we've potentially found some support. We've got a nice little bullish candle forming at a key level of support. We've also got bullish divergence, so we can see that the MACD and RSI are trending high. So we might see this week an attempt for the dollar to head higher back into this, for euro dollar to head back into this range. The euro dollar itself is not necessarily wanting to escape the range just yet. Moving on and having a look at cable. So one of the reasons I've drawn this trend line in here just is as a loose guide for a area or level of support. Really looking to see if we stay above this or not. Right now, price is looking more bearish than bullish, but we also have some strong levels of support that we're heading down towards. So it finished last week as an inside bearish candle closing near the low, so the momentum is more bearish than bullish, but we could still potentially see a change. When we move across and have a look at Aussie dollar, for example, it also supports that idea potentially of a stronger dollar. Look at it, just ultimately pushing every single one of the major pairs right to the very edges of their current support levels or ranges, and so we can see that across the board. If we move across and have a look at dollar yen as well, we can see that although we did have that rejection at that previous level just here where the previous month had closed in November, we can see the market has disregarded that and continues to push higher. So we know that the Bank of Japan would prefer that it's below 150, but that trend that's been in place continues to stay here. So we've got a high and a low and a lower high. We want to see if we're going to break this, go back into an uptrend, or break the lows this week. We could see a reversal. It's not impossible. That's what I'm saying right now. With the holidays coming up, the markets they appear to be swinging a bit wildly, and so just be that little bit extra cautious. Dollar Swissy here has performed a really nice strong double bottom off this level of support, is looking quite nice and bullish. That supports a stronger dollar. So dollar yen supports a stronger dollar, dollar Swissy supports a stronger dollar, Aussie dollar supports a stronger dollar, cable is supporting a stronger dollar so far. Euro is the only one that is resisting this level at the moment, and the dollar index itself is still potentially trying to break out of that range. So we're seeing ideas that support that stronger dollar, but until we are out that range, we really can't say for sure. Dollar CAD as well continues to trend very, very nicely, going down to the daily here. Any kind of pullback here, I really like the look of this, looking for buying opportunities. Starting to get a bit overextended on the weekly. On the monthly, it's just broken out of the range, and it is coming into historical levels of resistance. You can actually see here if I just mark these levels. So dollar CAD to me looking the free and clear, the most free and clear of the entire thing, and therefore providing some good opportunities. So gold, here we go. We've been in a very nice uptrend. We've pulled back. The market attempted to continue. It then fell down a little bit. It's tried to go up again, and it's been kicked back. So if we have a look at it on a daily perspective, we've double topped here. This is a very strong level of resistance around that 2720 level, and the market currently is testing it. So what I'm going to be looking for this week is a break of these lows or break back up above this high. If we produce a series of high lows, we go back up to that level and the MACD continues to look bullish, it'll lead likely to a breakout to the upside. On the other hand, should we start to break below these lows, we would expect to see, especially if we break below these lows, then we could potentially see gold's correction starting to head back down towards the 2200 level. Okay, so that's what I'm watching for this week. Also, don't forget gold's being very overextended. Look at crude oil here. Crude oil continues to work its way into this wedge under a lot of selling pressure. Potential break down through that during between now and June next year. Could see a big move down to 50 and potentially even $40. But my point is this: gold being overstretched, the dollar is trying to break out of its range. Euro, cable, Aussie dollar, all very overstretched. Dollar yen beyond where the Bank of Japan is really wanting it ideally. Crude oil being squeezed into this gold overextended. There's a lot of stuff in the markets right now and need to maybe possibly take a bit of a breather. Let's have a look now at the Dow. So if we go and have a look at it from a monthly perspective, we've had a really, really good run. It's overextended there. Then if you have a look at the weekly, you can see it's actually started a retracement. So I'm just going to get rid of this so that you can see that. Nice bit of a correction down towards the moving averages. So we're now clearly in a weekly retracement. Are we at the beginning of a monthly correction? It's too soon to tell. Okay, if we have a look at it from a daily perspective, everything else looks relatively decent. MACD is still nice and bullish. RSI is nice and bullish. So at this point, I see this more as a potential weekly retracement, a shorter term correction, and possibly could even see the weekend higher. If it continues to trend lower, we'll deal with that when we get to it, but I'd be interested to see if the coming week will close ultimately as a bullish candle. S&P as well, you can see the S&P here starting a potential swing high on that weekly. So yes, in this case, if the Dow is leading it, we could see the S&P close lower this week. Having a look at it from a daily perspective, starting to struggle with some very strong resistance at that level there. And so likely we see, but RSI and MACD look okay. They don't look that bearish. So for me, it's more likely that this is a shorter term or medium term correction rather than a bigger picture correction at this time. NASDAQ, very overextended, very bullish, had a really good run. Having a look at it from a weekly perspective, starting to move away from the moving averages here. MACD continued to kind of support that. We've broken above these previous highs. We had a pullback recently, so it's only been going on for about 3-4 weeks. Not so bad. Looking at it from a daily perspective, it's still trending higher on the RSI, trending higher on the MACD, meaning that the overall momentum across all of these is still, generally speaking, healthy. It's above average. It's longer and stronger than normal, which is matches everything else we're seeing in all the other charts. So that is certainly the case. But at the same time, there aren't any red flags at this time. So it's possible with the Dow, we're seeing a weekly correction here. We could see the same thing occur in the other markets and see a bit of a bigger correction. That's possible that that's the case. The market's just taking a bit of a breather, a well-deserved rest. Let's have a look at the Russell 2000. So the Russell 2000 here, which is obviously 2,000 small cap companies, attempting to break out of its range, coming back in here at least, or breaking through resistance, I beg your pardon. We could see if it finds support here. So again, this week, I'll be looking to see if we do find support and finish higher. For the most part, it is still in a nice uptrend and potentially just coming back down to the moving averages to test this level of support. So really, I think it's going to be about where we are a week from now. But just be prepared. As I said, a lot of the markets are really testing the limits, and they may very well want to take a bit of a breather. And we could see the beginning of that possibly with the Russell 2000 and the Dow. Everything is just sitting on the verge of something, either a breakout to something more or a rejection of that and a bit of a correction. Thank you very much, and listen, have a great week. Thank you.